Hello and welcome to Ode to Games. I'm Kevin Valley, joined alongside Logan Plant. How you doing, Logan?
I'm doing great. Did you see the new Splatfest theme for the next Splatoon 3 Splatfest?
Oh, I did, but I've forgotten already.
It is it
What?
is Pokemon themed.
Pokemon,
It's
that's right.
grass,
The
fire, or
starters.
water. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
super
Which would you
cool.
pick?
Ooh. I'd probably go with water.
I'm going
I
Team Grass.
Grass, okay.
Yep. I've only ever picked one water starter, which was Piplup. That's the only water starter I've
Really?
ever picked. Yeah.
Let's see. I
Yep.
had Mudkip and Totodile, Oshawott off the top of my head. I feel like water's the
Well, that's
most for
actually
me.
not true anymore because I picked Oshawott in Legends. I forgot about that. I did pick
Oh,
Oshawott
okay.
in Legends. So
Still going
yeah.
grass though.
Yeah, still going grass. I picked grass the last 4 generations straight. I have picked grass. Yeah.
Have you decided what you're doing with the new gen? Are you going
I'm
grass again
picking
or
fire for the next one. I'm picking
going fire?
Fuecoco, the little crocodile dude, is super cute.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about Scarlet and Violet in just a little bit because they got a new trailer showing off a couple of new features. But first, we were talking about this last week, and we finally get to talk about it. We were talking last week. We had the little poster for the Mario movie, and now we have a trailer to talk about. We have heard some of the cast members. We've heard Jack Black as Bowser. We've heard Chris Pratt as Mario, a little bit of Charlie Day as Luigi, and some others in there.
Mm-hmm.
Get to that in a bit, but first, I gotta say, just with the art direction, besides Mario looking a little bit weird, this thing looks really crisp. Looks really good.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Yeah, I really loved Bowser's animation. He looks really, really good. Just kind of the reflection off his scales and all the different textures on him were awesome. The Bowser's Island, the floating Bowser's Island that attacks that Penguin Kingdom was really cool. Yeah, I thought I loved how all of it looked. I thought it really looked great.
Yeah, really good. I think that was the thing that caught me by surprise the most. Yeah, I think Bowser's entrance was really cool. The design of this ice kingdom and then getting to the mushroom kingdom was real good. Now let's get into the cast. So Jack Black first as Bowser. I thought it was solid.
Me too.
I think if you're going with these celebrities, you want to have name recognition to get people in the door. I think Jack Black does as good a job as a celebrity can, and I thought that his little intro as part of the Nintendo Direct was really good too. A lot of energy that he brought.
Yeah. Yeah, unlike someone else's entrance in the
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct. But yeah, Jack Black I thought was really, really good. I always thought he fit as Bowser. Most of the cast I always really liked from the Nintendo Direct announcement, last September. And yeah, Jack Black met my expectations. I thought he was going to be really good. He was. Yeah, he's just a great pick for that role. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, the mannerisms of Bowser, I thought kind of fit Jack Black's persona a little bit, especially with the star when he was going to be grabbing that. I was pleasantly surprised by
Yeah.
Jack Black. Mario, Chris Pratt, as we all expected, it's Chris Pratt.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's really not much here that differentiates Mario from any of his other roles. It's just Chris Pratt. And when you hear Jack Black as Bowser and you hear a little bit of Charlie Day as Luigi, which I think the little bit that we heard, I think fits. I feel like he's really going to stick out from the rest of the cast, which is a huge problem because Mario is the main character. Like,
yeah,
if you're going to miscast anybody, do not miscast the main character.
Yeah, he does sound a little off to me. I don't know though. I think it was like, yeah, he does sound mostly like Chris Pratt. He has a little bit of like a Brooklyn accent or whatever it is, but it's still, you can pretty much just tell that it is Chris Pratt. And I'm thinking about it. It's like, I don't know what I would have wanted Mario to sound like, because I think that like Charles Martinet's play on the character for 2 hours would be too long, I think. And then I just don't know what I would want Mario to sound like, because he never talks, right? We talked about this, like even in the Paper Mario games, he just doesn't talk in these games. So it's like, when he finally speaks up, what does he sound like? I don't know what it is, but it's not this. I guess is how I feel about it right now. But I'll be able to live with it. Not a huge deal. The rest of the cast seems really good. We haven't heard everybody. But Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I thought he was just going to sound like Keegan-Michael Key. No, that really sounded like Toad. I thought it was a great voice.
Sounded more like
for
Toad because I forgot it was Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah, yeah, it was really good. You did a really great job with him. I'm excited about Toad. I thought Toad was really funny. I was kind of hoping before this trailer that Toad would be this super like weird, surreal, energetic, offbeat character, and that's exactly the intro we get, where he screams at Mario for not touching the mushrooms. He's like, "Oh, just kidding, that one's fine." I thought that was funny. So yeah, I'm excited about Toad. Excited about Bowser. I loved the little stinger scene with the dry bones chasing Luigi. I really liked that they threw that in. Really, the only part I did like about and that it's like in Isekai, right? Like Mario is transported to this world from what the real world.
It's like the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. You know?
I know. Is that what this is going to be? Because the first thing he says is, "What is this place?" And I was like, "Oh man, I didn't know that they were going that route." I was hoping he would be like living in his house, like he lives in at the start of Paper Mario with Luigi, and then
gets a letter
with stuff on this adventure with a letter. But instead, it's going to be him transported to this world, which Sonic just did too. Like they did the same thing with the first Sonic movie. He's not from that world, but yeah. So I'm not super thrilled with everything surrounding Mario. I liked Mario. I didn't like so much.
Yeah, I feel like that was the safe pick to have him transported there. They've done it before, and
yeah,
it worked for Sonic. It'll probably work here as well. And you can, for the audience, it can be kind of the same feeling of like, oh, I don't know what this is, especially if people have not been keeping up with Mario over the last 30 some years and they're just going to see this movie. It's like, oh, I could relate somehow.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a live action intro to get to that point, I'm happy. That's all I ask from these things, where it's the whole like transported to this other fantasy world. As long as the intro is not live action, I'm generally okay with it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I hadn't even really thought about that.
Super Show.
Yeah. Yeah, no thanks. Please, no, don't do that.
So as long as that's not there. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before too. So we had Jack Black, who was introducing his character and everything, and then you had Chris Pratt as well. And I don't know, it just felt a little bit off. I don't know how to describe it. Some of the pauses in there, just like it kind of looked like he was looking to read like a script or something.
Yeah.
Like, you watch Jack Black and it feels super genuine and just super friendly and upbeat, and he knows what he's talking about. And then Chris Pratt here, he looks a little confused or something.
I just don't really believe that it was Chris Pratt's lifelong dream to be Mario like he claims it to be. I just don't believe that. I also, like, I don't know. People just didn't. I don't know. Also, I don't really believe that he played the games when he was a kid, because he's like, I stomped Koopas in the original Mario Brothers, and it's like, okay, you don't even really stomp them in that game. Like, that's not really how that game even works. Like, I don't know. And he took a really long pause before Koopas.
Yeah,
like, I spent hours stomping.
Was it Goombas?
Koopas.
Mario? No, not Mario.
Yeah. It's a weird pick. But I don't know who I would want it to be, honestly. I don't know. I don't know the answer here.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I was pleasantly surprised by this. I mean, we hadn't heard much of anything before that poster came out, and it was after watching that cast reveal, it's like, man, what is this thing going to be? I think we were talking about how it could be. It's probably going to be either really good or really bad. I'm kind of leaning towards the really good at this point.
Me too. Yeah, I think it looks really good. I love the visuals. I like the art style they went with. Yeah, and really, like, if Mario's voice, I mean, I can live with it. It's not like it was necessarily bad. It was just wasn't generic. It didn't blow me away. Just generic. Yeah. So if that's the worst this thing has to offer, then yeah, I think that a lot of the physical comedy, which is what Illumination does, right, with the minions mostly, is their physical comedy. I thought was funny. I thought it was really funny when the penguins are hurling these snowballs at Bowser, and then it shows Bowser and they're just like bouncing off him because they're literally just snowballs. I thought that was funny. I like that we're going to places that aren't just the Mushroom Kingdom, like that we were in this kind of icy world, because I guess I was kind of concerned, like, that they would just kind of stick in this one place forever, like how the first Sonic movie was just this road trip and you were in Montana for a huge chunk of it. I like to see these different areas too. So yeah, I was really happy with all of it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of the cast, because from what we've seen, it's shaping up to be a really solid cast, and I want to hear more. I want to hear more of Charlie Day's Luigi. I want to see more of this. It's getting me more excited. I'm glad they gave it the direct treatment. I think after watching it, it deserved a little bit of that.
Yeah, I was interested. It was a direct and then it was a very short direct.
Less than 10 minutes.
yeah. Good to see Miyamoto though. He seems excited about it, and then Chris Pratt's super blurry selfie video.
Yeah. They told him the day before, just like, you got to record something. All right, we're doing this. I was like, okay. This is an arcade game, right?
Stomping Koopas. Yeah.
Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Looking forward to seeing more about that. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet got a new trailer and some new information about different systems. Logan's dying over there.
My cat's knocking down all my stuff on my desk.
A little too excited about Scarlet and Violet. Really hyped about that.
He's excited about Chris Pratt.
As we all are. Let's get into some of the new stuff that it showed off in this trailer. I think the biggest one, at least for me, was this auto battling mechanic. It's called the Let's Go command, and it's out on the field. You have the wild Pokemon roaming around in the overworld, and instead of going in and initiating a battle and, doing all of that traditional Pokemon stuff, you can just send your Pokemon over and they'll take it out. Just kill it. You watch their HP maybe drop down a little bit, and the fight's over. And this is a mechanic that has more use beyond just, overworld out in this open world. But when you go to the team bases, it seems like it's kind of, they're just ganging up on you, and you have to send your Pokemon out using this feature and beat like 30 enemies. And as I was watching that, I'm kind of curious if there is any strategy there. That's my major concern.
It didn't really look like it.
When it's the overworld, I'm kind of okay with it, because the battles with wild Pokemon, it's always been kind of mindless, especially if you're over leveled for them. And if you have no interest in catching the Pokemon, then, you're not really losing a whole lot there. But if it's more of a core feature that you're using in story encounters, I'm just wondering if there's any more to this, because what they showed off really was just, hey, Pokemon, go and attack this thing. It attacks and it wins. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I think it's nice. I think it's a nice feature for the overworld, like you said, because like even something like Xenoblade, like a massive JRPG, has the auto battle feature that you can do if you don't feel like doing the encounters. You just kind of sit through it as they auto attack for you. So I think it makes sense for the overworld, and they can get items and things like that. I think it's a cool idea. But yeah, that team battle, that team star battle, I was like, okay, like this seems really silly, and like there's no challenge here whatsoever. So that'll probably be something that will be, like, I guess kind of funny the first time, just to watch your 3 Pokemon taking out these 30 Pokemon, but then after that it'll get old if you have to do that every time. And I think it's a cool idea for the overworld. I like that it's there, but I guess I just wish it's like wasn't a core feature, because it's like, all right, we're gonna auto battle now. Like it's weird. It's a weird one.
Yeah, and I just hope that it's not in a ton of these story encounters, or if it is, there's more strategy to it, where you're having to swap Pokemon in, or if you had to pick certain moves that your Pokemon would use, and you have to kind of strategize depending on what type there is. But it really just seems like you send the Pokemon out, and there was like 30 enemies as part of that encounter, and were they at even half health at the end of that? Like,
yeah. It kind of feels like that Sun and Moon trial thing, where it's like, just get me to the fight. Like, I don't want to do this. Yeah, just get me to the fight. Which they're still not showing. They're still not showing what that fight looks like.
Which fight?
The fight on the float, on the giant parade float. They're still like, and we'll leave you to see what this is like for yourself. So they're teasing something.
A Pokemon battle, probably.
Yes, probably.
better that than using this command feature.
Yep.
Um,
Remember
so we got
triple
that.
battles?
What?
Remember triple battles
Oh yeah,
and
there was
rotation
triple battles.
battles?
There were rotation battles. I was just
Yeah.
gonna say those vanished.
Yep, they're gone.
Double
Gone
battles.
after one
Double
generation.
battles stuck around, right? Or did
Oh yeah, the
have they?
double battles are
Okay, they're
still
still
here.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that every battle should just be a double battle.
yeah,
I don't
could
know.
add more
I think that would
strategy
be
to
more
it.
interesting. Yeah.
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 Guess they don't want to get too far away from core Pokemon or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another new feature, I think, is TM crafting. So originally, TMs were one-time uses and they would disappear after that. And then they changed it to you would collect TMs and you could use them as many times as you want, kind of taking over what the HMs were in that regard. And then here we have a crafting feature where items that you get out in the overworld you can use to craft these different TMs. What did you think of this feature?
Think it's really cool. I think this is another cool step that kind of makes the Pokemon gameplay fit in an open world. I think that TMs had kind of been feeling stale for a very long time, to the point where they essentially were just like, whatever, you can just keep them forever. So I think that having to gather things, this fits actually nicely with the Let's Go, right? That you can send your Pokemon out to fight and collect things, and then have to craft this. I think it's a smart idea. I think it's a really cool thing. I thought this trailer overall was pretty good. Yeah, there's some things like that big horde battle I wasn't a fan on, but overall I thought some of the stuff in here was cool. And this was another one of them where I'm like, this is a logical next step, where that kind of shows me one of my biggest concerns with they were just going to kind of make this huge open world and throw classic Pokemon into it. But things like this TM crafting show me that they did think about, how should the gameplay evolve along with this new open world format. And this is a cool step in that direction, I think.
Yeah, I like the idea that you don't just receive TMs based on how the story progresses. Like I like the
Yeah.
idea that you have options for a bunch of different TMs and you can work towards specific TMs that fit with the teams that you've created. Like it always felt weird when you would battle the gym and get the TM and just be like, well, I'm not going to use this. Like I have
Yeah.
absolutely no function for this move whatsoever. So it's just going in my bag and I'm never going to use it. Instead, you have this list of TMs, and as long as you can find the ingredients to craft it, you can pick and choose what TMs you want for certain team builds, which
Yeah.
I think is a much better use of the TMs rather than just giving you the set TMs at set points in the story.
Mm-hmm. And also, I just want to say, I think that the terastallizing looks like the coolest battle mechanic we've seen in the last 5 gens, that they've always had to throw in a new one, because it actually feels much more meaningful for fights, that you can totally change type. They said every Pokemon can terastallize into every type. So you can have a Pikachu that terastallizes into a grass, a fire, a poison, a steel, anything. And I think that's really, really cool. And especially for the competitive battle scene, which I know we're not a part of, but is a big thing in Pokemon. Like that's going to be huge. Like that's going to totally shake up the competitive scene. And so I do think that's really cool. I just wanted to say that I'm usually pretty hard on the mechanics because they're usually very bad, right?
Well, like
Gigantamax Z
yeah,
moves
right.
they're terrible. They're nothing. So this seems like another actually cool thing that is going to meaningfully change the gameplay, rather than just like, look at this instant win button that has a cutscene that's cool once that then you're tired of watching 5 hours into the game.
Or but if the strategy to combat that is to just do it yourself, like that's not necessarily the play here, because depending on what type they turn into, maybe your terastallized type for your Pokemon doesn't work, and so you have to swap one out, or maybe your type actually does work for that specific type. Like it really would have to keep you on your toes, rather than just be like, well, they have done the Gigantamaxing, or they have used what was X and was it X and Y with the stone
Mega Evolution?
Mega Evolutions. Like, oh, I'll just Mega Evolve as well. Like,
yeah,
I'm glad that that's not just the only strategy that comes along with it. It's like, oh, they do it, I will do it as well. It's like here, it's like, okay, well, they've swapped into this type. I need to swap into a type that works against that type, but maybe it's not this Pokemon because maybe their other type doesn't match up well.
Yeah. I just hope that the game is challenging enough that's not just something that's cool in the competitive scene, and it's something that is cool for like me, who's just going to play through this main game. Because if it's still like, oh, they terrestrialize, but I'm so much stronger than them anyways that I'll win
It doesn't
without
matter.
having to strategize at all, that would be a shame.
Oh no,
Yeah.
you have changed into this type. You are dead now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it depends on how easily you can get over leveled in this one.
Hmm.
But I mean, with the with the open world and that kind of overworld feature, you would think that you would have a better ability to kind of keep track of your levels if you really wanted to. That
Yeah.
you could probably kind of change up how you play if you want more of a challenge. Not that you should have to do that, but maybe it's a little bit easier than in times past where you're having to like avoid trainers if you want more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Girafarig gets a new evolution. I thought this one was cool. Instead of
Hmm.
the little monster on the back, it's more on the front. He's wearing like this little cap hood thing.
Hmm.
I always just like seeing Pokemon that never had an evolution before and were basically useless, really. Like the no evolution Pokemon, a lot of them just weren't particularly viable. So I'm always about those Pokemon getting some evolutions to try and help them out. And I think the design was good on this one.
Yeah, I like this one too. I've been a fan of the Pokemon pretty much across the board that they've revealed for this game. I think they've all been pretty good. The new evolutions to older Pokemon, and the new Pokemon overall, I've been happy with.
Yeah.
After I didn't think Sword and Shield had very good Pokemon.
Swap them back around.
Yeah.
So we got a little glimpse at these gym tests. Sun and Moon had the
Yeah.
had the little task that you had to do, and these look kind of the same.
Mhm.
Again, we didn't get a full look at how it worked, but you can kind of glean from this. It was just a little collectathon. Like, I don't
Yep.
know if they're throwing any curveballs at you, like if you have to battle one of them or if you have to do certain things. But it was basically just, oh, you have a bunch of Sunflora here. Collect a certain amount of Sunflora and take them to the end. And then you fight the gym, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, and you have a note here. The Sunflora FPS was real bad. Oh man, some of the FPS in this trailer in general was
Not
bad.
good.
Remember when they were entering that town that had like
The
a
windmill.
windmill in it? Oh my gosh, that windmill was like
Really terrible.
it was like at 4 frames a second. It felt like it was just chugging. Yeah, yeah.
What do you think of these gym tests as someone who was not a fan of Sun and Moon's
It's
gym
fine.
design?
Yeah, gosh. I'm just glad that I guess that it will still end in a real fight rather than just ending against like, oh, it's a totem Pokemon, or in many cases in Sun and Moon, all right, here's the badge and that's it. Like, yeah, at least it will still end in that. This is a combination of those two ideas, which is better than just the trial idea. But yeah, it's still. I hope that there's some sort of depth to some of these. I was still hoping that there would be like races, like you have to race on your motorcycle guy when you go to the gyms, but
That could be
that does
fun.
not seem to be
Yeah.
the case. Yeah.
Or just mini games where there's some sort of strategy or something involved. Even just like even like a Mario Party-esque mini game or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
like this looked really dull from the little bit that we saw. You entered and it's like, oh, collect the Sunflora. And it's like, oh, this one's by a bench or something. You go talk to him. It's like, oh, there we go. All right, do
Yeah.
that for however many Sunflora there are, and then it's over.
Yep. Yep.
Hopefully there's a bit more depth. That was only one gym, but we'll have to wait and see. Last couple of things here. They showed off some of the character customization. I was pleasantly surprised by how much there was. There was a ton in the way of different hairstyles. There's a bunch of different, like eyes and other facial features. I feel like in the past, they've kind of dipped their toes into character customization with different outfits that you can have and that sort of thing. But I feel like this one's leaning a lot more into that. It seems like you can really customize your characters in this one, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That looks really great too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last little thing, we got sandwiches
Oh yeah.
instead of curry. So in Sword and Shield, you had to make you didn't have to, but
You did not
do
have to
do the camping feature, and you could cook curry. Did you ever cook curry?
Probably like once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about it.
So in
Yeah.
this one, it's kind of a similar camping feature where you got all your Pokemon there and you can clean them and hang out with them. And they have this sandwich making feature. I guess you buy all these ingredients and you put the sandwich together, like physically put ingredients on the sandwich and balance it all. And then it gives you different buffs and things like, oh, it'll give you a higher rate of finding certain Pokemon out in the wild, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
Rather that than just purely making your Pokemon possibly stronger or something, because odds are you don't need your Pokemon to be that much stronger. So if it's more
Yeah.
like how it changes things in the overworld, I think that would have much more utility.
Yeah, I agree. Like Splatoon actually does something cool with the meals, always where it's like, oh, eat this, and you get like plus 50% cash for the rest, like the next 20 battles. And it's like, I think that is like a cooler way to do it than just like, all right, you have plus 20% strength. Like, I don't need that. I don't need that in this game, unless this game's going to be hard, which it's not going to be. Right?
Highly
It's
doubt
not going to be hard.
that.
Yeah. Is this game going to be good, Kev? Because the last two Pokemon games have been on the opposite ends of the quality spectrum.
Dare I say it could be in the middle?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
Legends Arceus went off in a completely different direction and I think was really good for it. And I feel like this one kind of takes some steps in that direction as well as in the open world and customization design, but also retains some of the Pokemon features that we didn't really like. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's going to be a mesh of both. It just depends on how enjoyable that mesh is going to be.
Yeah.
And how much of one side is in there versus the other.
Yeah. We'll see. We're close. We're like a month and a week away from this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see.
it's coming out soon. Yeah, overall, I thought it was a solid trailer. Some things didn't look that great. Let's Go Command in
Yeah.
the team battle and the gym tests don't look particularly interesting, but I like the idea of the TM crafting.
Yeah.
The sandwiches could be interesting with how it changes certain things in the overworld. Character customization was good. There's some things to like in here.
Yeah, looked good. Frame rate didn't, but the game did.
hopefully the windmill will be running a little bit faster. Hopefully the wind will be blowing a little bit harder in town when the full game releases.
Yeah, that is nuts.
Yeah, that
if
one
it's gonna run like that, why put it there?
It was like the Legends Arceus trailer. What was the Pokemon in there? Chimecho? Chimecho?
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Basically, where it was like a floating Pokemon and it was just like boop, boop, boop. Like it
Oh,
was just
yeah.
there. It was not smooth
Yeah.
whatsoever. It was just moving to one and then teleporting to this next section and then teleporting. It was the exact
That's
same
funny.
feeling with this.
Yeah.
Hopefully that gets ironed out. But yeah, overall, I think it was a good trailer. Still don't think I'm going to be getting it at launch, but I have a little bit more hope that people more generally will like this one. And then maybe sometime down the road, I'll pick it up and play it.
Yeah, I'm playing it day one. I'll be there. We'll see. Yeah.
After one good one and one absolute stinker.
Yeah.
And
the remakes.
Generation. Oh God. Every day that passes, the more I do not like those.
Yeah.
Yep. Every day that passes, just like, why would I ever go back and replay those when I can just go replay Platinum? Like that's.
Yeah.
And then I remember, oh yeah, for the people who didn't have Platinum when it came out, sorry, $100+. I guess your only option are these remakes.
Yep.
Which is sad. Some other news to get to. Persona is in the news because we have release dates finally for Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden on consoles. January 19th, 2023.
That's very soon. No physical release though, which is a bummer.
Yep, that sucks. I'm hoping that maybe they'll have something in Japan and I'll be able to pick one of those up instead. But good to see release dates for both of these. And I'm glad that they're coming out. I'm actually glad they're coming out on the same day. I was kind of worried that it was going to be like, oh, we have Persona 5 coming out on these other consoles. And then you
like
wait
next week,
5
right?
or 6 months. Yeah, it's really soon.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, oh, wait 6 months. And then you get, I don't know, Persona 3 Portable. And then like, oh, wait again. And then you get Persona 4 Gold. And I'm glad they're kind of just like dropping them for people to play. So we don't have to wait for it.
Yeah, nice.
And then Persona 5 Royal is also getting a card game, which I
that
think
looks
is
interesting.
interesting. I think they could do a lot of interesting things with that. They've said it's a cooperative game. They really didn't say a whole lot more about that, but I think they're going to be bringing in the dungeons, the palaces in, and with all the different personas, I think that could translate really well to a card game because there are so many of them. I'm assuming that you're doing battles like that, and I don't know. I think it could translate pretty well into a card game.
I have still not played the Splatoon card game.
Wait, the one in game, the Tetris one, or
Yeah,
in-game?
yeah, the in-game battle card game.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Will you ever?
Yeah, I want to. Just whenever I boot it up, that's not what I want to do yet. Because all I liked to do in Horizon Forbidden West was play the board game. Very mixed. Yeah.
Didn't really play that one. I played a lot of Final Fantasy VII Intergrades. I beat all those.
Fort Condor, that's a good one.
Fort
Good
Condor
game.
was fun.
Yeah.
Sonic Frontiers is coming out soon, and coming hot on its heels is DLC, Monster Hunter DLC.
Oh yeah.
Logan, as someone who is 100% buying this day one, did this push you any more towards buying it day one?
Dude, I'm gonna wear this costume the entire game. I'm gonna wear it's this Rathalos armor, which is awesome, and it's coming with the barbecue meat grilling mini game. So there's cooking in Sonic Frontiers, but it's Monster Hunter cooking, and it powers Sonic up. So it's gonna be like kind of probably an integral part of the gameplay loop, and it's Monster Hunter themed. Like that's just so funny.
They haven't shown off that that's a feature beyond the DLC.
No, right? They have not. This is so the only time they showed cooking.
If you play it when the game comes out and you beat it before the week is up, do you just miss an integral feature in the game?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'll just have to. That's true, because I'll probably beat this within the first 6 days it's out. Knowing me, I'm probably gonna play this game like crazy when it comes out. So yeah, I'll just have to play it again through on my replay with the Monster Hunter outfit on.
See how much of a change the cooking adds.
Yeah, but you can wear your Monster Hunter outfit and your soap shoes from Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah, cool. It makes me wonder if there's gonna be like in-game costumes.
If they've got this one, I feel like it would leave the door open for doing more DLC costumes in the future, even just if they want to add other in-house costumes.
Yeah,
I think they could do that.
Yeah.
And then if you're in Japan, you can get VTuber merch.
Okay.
Is really weird. I go into game stores and I just see the pre-order bonus. It's like, hey, you can get VTuber merch. What does this have to do with Sonic?
Yeah. Man, I'm excited for this game. We're so close.
It's almost here.
Close. Yep.
We'll finally see if it's good or not.
Yeah.
Very excited. I'm very excited to see what this game turns into.
Me too.
Almost here. We've talked about mobile games in the past and them shutting down and why you should always be wary of these things coming out and dropping any bit of money into them because they can just up and leave whenever. And we get another one. Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. This game has been out for less than a year and it's shutting down on January 11th.
Yikes.
We talk about this a lot in regards to mobile games. It just doesn't make sense to drop in. I mean, it already doesn't make a whole lot of sense to drop in as much money as people are on these games, but the idea that they can literally just wipe the game off the face of the earth and that time and money that you put into it just disappears into the ether. I wouldn't have any confidence dropping any money into games like these because they, no matter how successful the game is, almost all of them have a certain shelf life, and some of them are shorter than others, some of them less than a year for a high profile game like Final Fantasy. Like this had name recognition and still couldn't even make it a year.
I think there's just so much Final Fantasy stuff right now. We talked about it. There's so many Final Fantasy things. Yeah. Like there's even outside of the 7 universe, right? Like Final Fantasy 14 is a big online game. Like I just don't really know who would play this battle royale. Like I don't think the JRPG crowd and the battle royale crowd crossover a ton. So making one based on this franchise, I never thought it was going to be super successful. Like, I love Final Fantasy VII Remake. I didn't think once about playing this game. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really talk about it too much either, beyond
No.
that initial time that they showed it off, and you're like, yeah, that doesn't look good. and, then,
Yeah.
and then you move on. Yeah, so say goodbye to Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier. That's getting shut down in January.
Yep.
And then last little bit of news, let's talk about Sony for a little bit. We've been talking about them over the last several weeks and months of just being a little bit disappointed with this state of PS5 and the games to play on there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting another look at their strategies moving forward, and they're talking more about live service games. Now, they are also saying that they're not abandoning these single player games, which is good. But man, they have a lot of chips in this live service basket. And I look at live service games and not a lot of them are hits. You get a couple that make it, that squeak through and really hit it big. They talk about having 10 plus titles in the works as a live service model. I just wonder how many of those will actually stick around for any length of time, because it's hard for them to hit. Some of them may last longer if they are based off of a recognizable PlayStation IP. You know, the Last of Us multiplayer, maybe that will last a little bit longer, but I'm just worried when you put so much stock into these live service games where, man, 7 or 8 of these could flop hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, because you're entering an ocean where you're not even just going to be competing with other games on your platform. You're going to compete with yourself, because live service games are free to play, so you're not competing for people's dollars, but you are competing for their time, and people only have so much time to play these. So yeah, I could see this kind of backfiring. If they're going to launch 10 live service games in the next 3.5 years. That's crazy. They're
As
going to
compared
launch
to what,
2 a
like
year.
3 single player games
Oh gosh,
this
yeah, and a
point?
remake of everything else. And they're just going to be competing with themselves, because it's if they're doing some new IP and some based on existing IP. So I was going to say Kevin, but he's a terrible example because he doesn't play live service games.
Not.
But let's take myself then, for example. I play Fall Guys. When Splatoon 3 came out, I haven't touched Fall Guys since, because that's the online game I've been playing. Like, that's just how it works. I played Halo briefly. That fell off the cliff because it didn't have enough content to keep me there, and I never went back. And it's like, you're going to release so many of these. You're going to flood your own marketplace with these. Man, and like, if there's like, oh, Horizon Online, and then like 3 months later it's like God of War Online, like, does Horizon Online just die and then they shut it down like this Final Fantasy VII game? Like, I just don't see how long these are all really going to be able to last realistically.
And they just acquired Bungie, and that
Yep.
made a lot of sense at the time because they wanted to get into live service stuff, and Bungie has gotten it down pat with Destiny 2, I think. And then they're going to be dropping all of these other games to also compete with Destiny 2, as well as all these other titles that they're working on. Like, it's also a risk if you go all in on 1 or 2 titles and they don't stick. Like, that is a risk. But I think it's an even bigger risk to try and go for 10 of these things when a bunch of them could fail right out of the gate. And then some of them could just drop off because people don't have the time for all of these games all at once, especially if you're a PlayStation gamer that also has a Switch or also plays games on PC. Like, that's a lot of stuff competing for your time. And you're hoping that they pick one. You're hoping that they pick one of your live service games. And where does that leave the rest of them?
In a bad place, Kev. In a place to get shut down. Yeah. And now they're spending so many resources on this. Meanwhile, their next year is barren, like we've talked about from a single player perspective. And yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah. I can't say I agree with a lot of the decisions that they've been making recently. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that a lot more. Can't say this got me excited at all about PS5's lineup because I'm waiting for games. There's not a whole lot to play, and all I see this as is you're putting resources that could go to games that I actually care about to a bunch of these games that one I don't care about, but two I could see a lot of them just failing, which
Yeah.
doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence
Nope.
in their library moving forward. And just last little interesting tidbit of news, we got to look at how much Sony can possibly pay for certain games that they want to put on the PS Plus monthly games for free. This is Ark Survival Evolved, and they paid $3.5 million to get this thing on PS Plus for a month. Obviously, that changes depending on which game they put on there, but using that as kind of a baseline, they're dropping a fair amount of money to put these on there just for a month.
Yeah, that is a lot of money. But I don't know. It kind of makes me feel like, yeah, this seems like a good deal for Sony and for the developer. Like this, I feel like it's why this has been able to continue for so long. Because really, was Ark Survival Evolved going to sell 3.5 million worth of copies over that month, or the number of people that redeemed it? Like, were they ever going to buy it, right? Because not everyone redeems it, right? Sometimes I forget to redeem PlayStation Plus, so it's not like every PlayStation Plus subscriber redeems. Like, I don't know. When they do this with games that have been out a while and already sold through kind of the natural progression of what they're going to sell through, this figure to me is like, yeah, that seems lucrative for a developer or a publisher to be like, yeah, we'll put it on PS Plus for $3.5 million. And then for Sony, doesn't seem like that much given how many PlayStation Plus subscribers there are paying $60 plus now a year with the new tiers. Like, yeah, it seems like a good deal all the way around.
Now, the real question is, how much did they pay for Team Sonic Racing?
Yep.
That's the one.
$4 billion.
Man, Sega raking it in.
Yep.
And that's it for news. Before we get into the Ode 2, just a quick what we've been playing. Logan, you've not been up to much, huh?
Nope. I've been watching baseball, as you know, so I've not been playing mini games really at all, besides Splatoon and Monster Hunter here and there. But that's nothing really new because there's not new content there right now. But in the coming weeks, there's going to be the first big run, which is like it's the kind of turf war equivalent of Salmon Run, and the Salmon Run is going to take place on the actual turf war maps. So Salmon Run is going to leave its normal maps and be on the much larger turf war maps. So that should be cool.
Oh, did you see that bit of news where for physical Switch games in Japan, Splatoon 3 accounted for nearly 70% of all physical games that were sold that were new? Wild.
Yeah, in September. Yeah, that is crazy.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Also, the amiibo are going up for sale, and Japan's the only region getting the 3-pack, which is disappointing. Yeah, no other regions getting, which are usually like $10 cheaper when they're all combined. But
you gotta buy them all separately
over here. Yep.
That's lame. Yep. Didn't they say that they're also re-releasing Splatoon amiibos too?
Yeah, they've been, which runs? Is good because these are some of the more expensive ones secondhand.
Talking about those a little while back.
Yeah, so that's been nice that they're getting a lot cheaper on the secondhand market, and they're going up. They're going up for sale. I did buy one that I wanted back when the game came out that I never got. The little purple squid. From it's a GameStop exclusive, and it was like $100 on eBay, and now it's back for $12. It's like, sweet, that's
so good. Just give you the option to pick up some of these, because it's like I'm not going to spend $100 on this thing. I don't like it that much, but when you get it for normal MSRP, it's like, yeah, of course.
Yep. So yeah, happy with how that's been going. Just wish we had the 3-pack, because all the other ones got 3-packs here, like the Octoling 3-pack.
Oh, they don't match up anymore.
For people that are like in box, like they have all these Splatoon 3-packs, and then the idols always come in 2-packs. So if you were a Splatoon amiibo collector, you've never had a single one, and now it's like, well, now you have to import and have a Japanese box, or just go with the solo boxes. So yeah, kind of a bummer.
Brutal. As for me, just a little bit more Bear and Breakfast, and I'm done.
Whoa.
I'm done for a couple of reasons. So first, I finished the main story. So that is all done.
Cool.
It's interesting. Like it has certain themes that it touches on that are definitely a lot more serious. But I feel like it kind of leaves things a little bit more open-ended. Like, obviously you see certain things that happen. You're like, okay, that's kind of the thing that they're going for here, but they kind of leave it a little bit more ambiguous to for you to kind of make some of your own judgments, which I kind of appreciated in a way. I feel like it kind of helped to leave it a little bit more ambiguous to kind of keep the nature of the world intact. I think that kind of helped out.
Cool.
So yeah, that's all done. I enjoyed my time with it, and I was going to go for 100%, and I had something happen to me a little bit earlier. I've talked
Oh
ad
no.
nauseum about the crashes. The update has not helped. I played for an hour today and it crashed twice.
Yikes.
So that already sucked. And you have achievements that you need to get get to 100%. I was like, okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple achievements left, and I'll just knock them out. It'll take me another hour or two. I'll enjoy spending a little bit more time in the game, and then be done with it. I'm almost at 100% anyways. And one of the 100% achievements is to collect all of the clothing, which you get by completing certain quests, and you kind of just get it as those go. And I had just finished a quest that gave me a piece of clothing. And when your inventory is full and it doesn't have anywhere to put this item, it has this lost and found feature where you can go down to the menu and click over, and it's like, oh, if you crafted but your inventory was full or something like that, all the items go here. It's like, cool, there it is. And a couple of other items that I even forgot that I crafted because my inventory was full. And so I grabbed all
Okay.
of those and moved on and started playing some more. And then the game crashed. Okay, cool. All right, I'll go back and I'll rebuild, whatever whatever I was working on. I boot the game back up, and it was right after I finished the quest, but the lost and found feature was
Uh-oh.
still open. So I'm like, okay, I gotta move all of my inventory and grab these items again. And two of the items weren't there, including the piece of clothing that I had just gotten from the quest.
Oh, that is horrible.
So that piece of clothing, unless they patch it somehow or I can get it again,
Yeah,
is gone. I
that is
checked again
horrible.
to make sure that specific quest that I finished gave me a piece of clothing. It did. I looked at my inventory, looked in the lost and found, looked in my storage chest,
Mm-hmm.
and it is not there at
Man,
all.
that
Including another,
sucks.
there was another item in there. There were three items, including the clothing and then two other pieces of furniture. I'm not sure why it picked certain things to get rid of. So like the clothing and one piece of furniture was gone, but then another piece of furniture was still in there. So I don't know what
Ugh.
happened, and I'm assuming that unless that gets patched, there is no way for me to get 100% on that file unless I restart and do
No
everything again.
way.
On the one hand, I'm glad that I'm done with the main story. Like, it didn't lock progression through the main campaign. That would have been
Mm-hmm.
worse. But man, does it suck when I'm that close to 100%ing it, and then I just get locked out of a
Yeah.
certain item because the game crashed.
Yeah, that's a shame. Man.
Um,
Well, yeah, at least you were able to finish the main game and can
yeah.
move on with it instead of it just being like my Crystal Chronicles situation where it's just like,
Oh
well,
God.
I'm done now. It's
Yeah, that's
over.
definitely worse.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
God, they have to fix the crashes. It's ridiculous. Like, I think it's gotten worse after the update,
Wow.
because before it was every hour and a half the game would crash. Today I played an hour and it crashed twice. Like,
Yeah, that's brutal.
an hour and a half is already ridiculous. If you're talking about crashes every half an hour, that's it's unacceptable, really.
Yeah.
And I think the more I played, the more it irked me, but I never lost that much progress, so I felt like, all right, whatever, I'll just deal with
Mhm.
it. When you're talking about being worried that certain crashes could remove items or just wipe something, that makes every crash a little bit scarier when you're like, all right, did I lose all my items, or are they still there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Um,
Dang.
so yeah, anybody who's on the fence, I can say definitively, until they get a couple more patches that fix these crashing issues, don't pick it up. Just, I think there's a really good game in there. I had a ton of fun with it, 25 plus hours. And the story and campaign and everything was fun, but they really need to fix some things here because there are some major issues that just need to get ironed out. It's pretty unacceptable, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, glad you beat it. Now you can play Xenoblade with me for the next 3 months.
Yep. So Xenoblade is next up on the docket. I'm looking forward to getting back into that. It's been a while.
Yeah,
been a while since I played it.
Sweet.
All right, last up, O2 segment for this week. And it's not related to anything specifically, just something that I thought would be fun to talk about. I don't think we've really talked about it too much in the past. It's O2 video game magazines.
All right.
So they're not really around too much anymore. There are some more niche magazines that try and fill the gap, but Nintendo Power is gone. Game Informer, they still do physical.
Yeah, they still do magazine. Yeah.
So they're still kicking around, but I feel like there's really not they're really not as prevalent as they used to be. So I wanted to kind of get your history with video game magazines. Which ones did you have? Any specific memories that you have with certain ones? Which video game magazines did you have growing up?
It is Nintendo Power, and that is it. That is the only one that I got, and I got it for six years. I think 6 years in a row until it ended in 2012. I have the last issue. Actually, I should have broken it out for this episode, but it's in a box somewhere here. But yeah, I have the last issue. But yeah, I really like Nintendo Power. Now, when you're older, you realize how it was just pretty much PR for Nintendo. It was not editorial whatsoever. But when you're 9 years old reading Nintendo Power, you don't know that. But I really like Nintendo Power. Man, there's plenty of games that they sold an extra copy of to me because I read about it in Nintendo Power. I think the main one that I got really excited for from Nintendo Power was Kid Icarus Uprising, which is still one of my favorite games ever. Is they had this amazing 10-page feature on this thing in January, the 2 months before it came out in March. And it just talked about all the weapons and the campaign and the online multiplayer. And I read that every single day leading up to that game coming out. I remember just reading that feature every day. And Nintendo Power also had the what's coming up page, release dates. And I remember I would go through and circle the things that I wanted to play even back then. I was doing that. But yeah, Nintendo Power was great. I really liked it. Their reviews were never that good. They were half a page long and were it's a great game, 9 out of 10 for new Super Mario.
Was this published by Nintendo? Good game.
Yeah. But yeah, Nintendo Power was really, really great. Yeah, some cool covers too. And some cool posters that used to come with them.
Yeah.
I
always looked forward to seeing what was kind of the main game that they were going to be advertising that month, and that was going to be on the cover. Yeah, I had Nintendo Power. I also had Game Informer.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, so I was a GameStop Pro member or whatever for a while.
In
junior high and high school. And to be honest, I remember more of Game Informer, I think, than Nintendo Power, because I think I kind of scooted in at the end of Nintendo Power there. I do still have a lot of those magazines and remember flipping through them, but the one that kind of sticks out to me was Little King Story that came out.
Cool.
And I remember reading the review of it over and over and over again before I was able to pick it up. And I don't know. It's a very specific thing when you're a kid. It was the same way with certain manuals that would come with games, where I don't know how there was enough in there to keep me interested for as long as it did.
Yeah.
But you just read the same 3 pages over and over and over again. It's oh my God, this game looks so good. I want it. And then you just go back and read it again the same day, the exact same information over and over again. But it was always interesting. It's a very specific time in your life where you can do that. And I think that those magazines really played into that super well.
Yeah. And there'd be just these tiny screenshots. I remember when the 3DS was coming out, and they had like a spread of everything that they had announced for the 3DS, and it was like Mario Kart 3DS and Super Mario Land 3D Land, and like they just had these one image, and I can still like see them in my head. It was like Luigi's Mansion 2. I don't think it was called Dark Moon yet at that point, and it's like, wow, just this whole spread of all these games that looked so good, because the 3DS from the DS to 3DS was such a big jump in graphics for a handheld at the time, that I just really remember that era specifically. And then whenever a new Pokemon would come out, I would always really like the Nintendo Power leading up to the new Pokemon. Like I remember the Heart Gold and Soul Silver one. I remember reading that one a million times leading up to that game coming out.
And it's nice now to have some of those, and if you really want to kind of look back and kind of, it does a good job of transporting you back to that specific time when that thing came out. I feel like you can do that in a similar way. You know, you've got the Wayback Machine online, or you can go back and read earlier articles, but I feel like magazines, they just condense it all into one little bit. And so it's fun to go back and read those, especially for games that haven't come out yet, that, you know, turn into absolute classics or something, or turn out to be absolute garbage, but you didn't know that. And to like go back and read these like previews and things, and alongside all of this other stuff from like 2008 or 2007 or whatever year or month that it came out, is I think a really cool experience now if you still have those copies.
Yeah, I think there's still a bunch of Nintendo Powers in my parents' house. I think they're somewhere stored away there. But yeah, I should go and just flip through those one afternoon, because yeah, it would be a big nostalgia trip, because like I think about like reading IGN growing up, and it's like those articles are still there, but now it's all under that what the site looks like now. And you would have to go through like a Wayback Machine to like, what did the site look like when I was a kid as a fan reading this? And yeah, Nintendo Power is still the exact same as it was when you got it in the mailbox. Yeah,
it's the exact same. Go back and look at that release window, that next couple of months. Like, man, that thing was coming out. Like, I was really excited for it. And
yeah,
served a certain purpose back in the day. Obviously, we were still online and looking at things online, but I think at the time I think I got more of my news from those, to be honest. Like, you would see random things like early YouTube. You would see certain people talking about certain games, and maybe see a news article here and there. But, you know, back in maybe 2007, 6, that era, like this was a lot of my video game information was coming from these magazines. And
same. Yeah.
It, you know, just formed what games I would want to pick up when. And I don't know, just something that I don't necessarily need anymore. But I appreciate what purpose they served a decade plus ago.
Yep. Yeah, I miss it. I do miss getting a magazine in the mail every month. It was always a fun day whenever it would show up. So I do miss that.
Just pick up Game Informer.
They mostly push you to the digital subscription now. It just isn't the same.
Yeah. You can still get it physically though, right?
Yeah. I do love Game Informer. I read their website all the time. Like, it's great people over there. Great site.
Content, and
yeah,
I enjoyed the magazine when I got it years ago.
Yeah, but just past that era where I want to get something physical every month like that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I can just go onto the website and look up all of these articles. It's a little bit different nowadays, but yeah, I enjoyed my time with those magazines, and enjoy looking back through them, and really enjoy looking back at those covers. Like, the art is really good, and I think those also do a really good job of just transporting you back. It's like, oh, the hype for, I don't know, like Halo Reach or whatever, or certain games. It's like really cool with those covers. Really good art too. And that is gonna do it, I think, for this episode. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I'm happy to announce I'm launching my own new video game magazine. So please subscribe. Yep, it's gonna be biannually. So once every 2 years, you're gonna get one of these things in the mail. It'll have reviews of every game from the last 2 years.
Wow,
So the first issue is going to have my highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077 review.
Ooh.
So look forward to that hot off the press.
Really, I'd be excited for that, because that would mean that you would play it, which would really surprise me.
It would surprise me too. I do not plan to play that game ever.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll subscribe. I'll
Okay, thanks, man.
to your magazine.
Sweet.
Do you guys do international shipping?
Oh shoot, we don't. No,
Dang it!
no.
All right, never mind. I will not be receiving this magazine.
No, we only do a paper route in my neighborhood. We don't ship at all, actually. Yeah.
Neighbor's like, what is this? It's a grown man sending out
Yeah.
these magazines.
Yep.
On that note, that's going to do it for us on this week's episode of Ode to Games. We're here on Thursdays or Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other podcast streaming services that you may use. YouTube at Ode to Games has the video version of the podcast every week as well. We're on Twitter at Ode to Games. You can send an email to odegames@gmail.com. For Logan, I'm Kevin. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.